everyone, I'm Adam.
And I'm Dennis, and we're the hosts of Movie Toast News and Reviews.
Do you ever wonder if it's worth your time watching a new movie or a classic?
Do you hate when people talk about movie news you've never even heard of?
Stop worrying, because we got you covered.
Every Sunday on Twitch, we talk about our favorite movie news from the previous week.
Every Thursday, we drop a review podcast covering classics to new releases.
And our YouTube page has tons of buttery crumbs that we can't fit anywhere else.
So come check us out at movie_toast on Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit.
And at Movie Toast News and Reviews on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook.
With no further ado, enjoy the podcast that we just interrupted.
Today we're looking at Christmas with the Kranks, a 2004 American Christmas comedy based on the 2001 novel Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. It was directed by Joe Roth and written and produced by Chris Columbus. The film tells of a couple who decide to skip Christmas one year since their daughter is away, much to the chagrin of their neighbours, until their daughter decides to come home at the last minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Christmas and Chill podcast After Dark edition. You're here this evening with your cool cat host, Josh. I'm sipping on a cup of Joe and I'm having a great old time. What about you? Call in, let us know. I'm sitting here this evening with Maddie Cook. Maddie, how are you?
Is this ASMR now?
No, groovy cats. This ain't ASMR, this is jazz.
Oh, jazz. You like jazz?
Yeah, shagadelic, baby. And we're also here with Luke. Luke, how are you this evening?
Not too bad, my friend. Not too bad.
Groovy. All right, peace out. Ladies and gentlemen, all right, I have to stop that. I'm sorry. How are we?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Yeah, good.
This is an interesting night because this is the first time where I'm on the podcast, but Amy isn't.
I miss Amy already.
Yeah.
We're free!
How dare you?
I will say, Amy, I'm not going to be snarky and add the extra fire to the flame for all the comments that you've made about me.
I was going to say,
I'm a good boyfriend.
If ever there was a time for you to roast Amy,
Do it.
It's now.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. I can't roast anyway. I'm too nice. I don't want to make people upset.
Nah, do it, bitch.
Annoyed. We'll see. We'll see how we go.
So, yes, tonight we watched Christmas with the Kranks. A fantastic movie. What do we think of the movie, guys?
Can I speak first?
Absolutely.
Go for
I'm
it.
definitely biased.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. This will be a good thing for me, because I was watching this movie, and the first thing I thought of was, have I seen this before? I was like, I've seen this somewhere, and I didn't know where. And I think, after talking to Mum about it, I think I might have watched it on TV or something along those lines. I liked this movie. I didn't think it was, like, my favorite of the movies we've watched so far. There were some really enjoyable bits. There were bits and pieces where I was kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. I've seen this in some of the other Christmas movies we've done before. I do like the premise of the film, though. I think it's a really kind of smart idea of having kind of the street and everyone around them try to pressure Tim Allen and Louis... I can't even say
Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm thinking of the wrong person.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus?
Yeah, I was... My apologies.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Lots of names with three different names in the name. But
Dustin
yeah,
Hoffman.
I thought it was a great idea, and then the turnaround of putting up Christmas for Tim Allen's daughter was very interesting. It felt like two different movies crammed into one. It didn't actually feel like one movie in total. I did say, though, just let them go on holiday. They don't have to go and do Christmas. Just let them be.
Not if Dan Aykroyd has anything to do with it.
I know. I think it's like everyone in the movie trying to be like, oh, you can't skip Christmas. It's a bit like too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also
Bring out Frosty.
oh brilliant.
Free
How
Frosty,
good is
free Frosty.
Frosty. Also, Dan Aykroyd, you're into aliens, so we should be yelling you at that.
Yeah,
So-
Did you
true.
Really?
pick up when Tim Allen goes, who you going to call?
Yeah. So good. Maddie, I'm going to throw to you now. What did you think of the movie? Do you think it was all right?
Josh is probably the only one who knows this, but I will watch this movie when it's not even Christmas. Like, I
Yeah.
love this movie.
Really?
Yes, I don't know why I love it so much. I think it's just a nostalgia thing. Me and my family love this movie, and
When was it released?
what was that?
You guys keep talking and I'll look it up.
When was it released? I think it was
2004.
2000.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is like 2 years before like Deck the Halls, and yeah, it's weird because this movie doesn't feel like it's
Doesn't feel as old as Deck the Halls, right?
like it doesn't feel old as that or Elf, because Elf was released around the same time. And
2003.
you know how we were talking about Christmas classics? I could see this as a Christmas classic for some people,
Yeah.
where it's like, you know,
Yeah, this is my Christmas classic, I reckon. Just I don't know what it is, if it's the dialogue or the acting or just all of it. I just love it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
For sure. I also love the movie. I had never watched the movie before until I met Maddie.
Did we
but-
watch it around Christmas or
We did watch it around
okay.
Christmas.
I was gonna say if we watched
that's
it in
alright
like
then.
October or something, that's a bit fucked.
No, we definitely watched it around Christmas. But taking you out of the movie, I think this is a really good movie, and I think it's the story that makes it so good. I don't think anything in this movie, to an extent, is unrealistic.
Except the end where Marty flies away on his beetle with reindeers.
Except for all like the post-movie credit animation stuff. But
and the cat getting frozen in the ice. That cat would have been dead. That cat would have been dead, and his eyes were
No,
kind of creepy, just
cryogenically
darting around.
frozen cat.
woke up in the year
Sorry.
3000. But yeah, I thought that unlike some of the movies like Deck the Halls and stuff where, you know, we're trying to see lights from space, especially that same style of movie. So Deck the Halls, Elf, that American Christmas movie of that time. I think Christmas of the Kranks does a really good job of being relatable in the sense that sometimes you do just want to skip Christmas and you just kind of want to do something different.
I also kind of like the fact that the family, they're not rich. That was another thing that I found really interesting, is they were saving up to go away, which is something that never really happens in a lot of these Christmas movies because they just, for some reason, have boundless amount of money. But, you know, what does he actually do, Tim Allen?
Thinks he's an accountant?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's an
Yeah,
accountant.
I think he's an accountant or something like that. So he doesn't make a lot of money, and obviously Jamie Lee Curtis stays at home. And it's just really interesting to see how, like, this movie in particular it focuses on middle-class family, which a lot of these sort of movies are they're either upper-class, like Miracle on 34th Street, or they're, like A Christmas Carol, you have Kermit and Miss Piggy and that family in the lower class. So it's interesting to have like a purely middle class family who's they have to skip Christmas in order to go away, which is something that, you know, everybody, I know I have to do. So,
It's realistic.
yeah.
I think that's the best part of the movie, though. I think that the whole skipping Christmas aspect of the movie is not something that's seen in a lot of Christmas movies. So you're watching it as a Christmas movie, but you're not at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think because also it's American, Christmas to them is the thing. If you don't do Christmas, you might as well leave America. Like, and my mom, being Canadian, has a little bit of that DNA in her where she's uber excited about Christmas. You know, taking us to see...
Is Amy American?
Yeah, someone needs to do a DNA test.
No. Well,
Ancestry.com, please sponsor us.
Maybe that's the closest to being overseas, but I don't know. Anyway. But
Yeah.
the idea of Christmas over there, I think, because they have snow and it's around Thanksgiving and all that sort of stuff, like that's something that they are really, really passionate about. So when the street basically turn on them and they're like, no, you're following us. We're doing Christmas together. This is a group thing that we do. And Dan Aykroyd being some sort of mafia boss was kind of weird.
It was great.
But kind of funny at the same time. It was like, I don't know if I trust you, Dan Aykroyd, for having all the power that you have in this particular street.
You raised a good point. Is a reason that us three are kind of cynical about Christmas is because we don't understand what a white Christmas is. Does that make sense? Like, Christmas is about snowmen and, cookies and rugging up, whereas in summer in Australia we're like, fuck, it's a Barbie and it's hot today.
So I was doing some reflection today over the whole
introspection and reflection.
G'day, Walt. I was doing some reflection today about the whole journey. The fact that what we're doing is no small feat. It's big, and definitely watching all these Christmas movies. And I think that in Australia, being summer in Christmas and usually being 30 plus degrees on Christmas Day, it's all about shorts, and if there's a pool, jumping in the pool, having a sprinkler on, there's a barbecue, there's backyard cricket. The dynamic of what we understand as Christmas is a bit different. So I think that it's quite easy for Australians to be quite cynical about Christmas, because in America, where it's cold, naturally you're wanting to rug up together. You become closer inside together. You kind of spending that time as family. With us, it's almost the opposite. There's probably more than one Christmas party you're going to go to on the same day. You're probably going to do some form of driving on Christmas Day, if not Boxing Day. You will be drinking and you will be outside more than likely. So
it just reminded me of a family Christmas where it was like 42 degrees and we're all in this fucking shed and there was like 30 of us and I was like, I do not want to be here right now.
And it's funny because you talk about that, and for the listeners at home, I'm half Canadian, so I've been to Canada during Christmas time, and admittedly, yes, I was very young, but I do remember snippets of it. And I think I've been there during Christmas, and I do remember the lights and going ice skating and that sort of stuff that you would do during Christmas. And I think for me, one of the major reasons I think I became a bit cynical with Christmas was, one, my mum being so like, I am so excited about Christmas. I need you guys to understand how much it is. I've realized in my later years that it's because, my mum has a big family and it's a big thing to get all the family together and, spend time. And I think for us here, because there's so much about Christmas that isn't exactly what we deal with. So, reindeer. We don't have reindeer here. We don't do Christmas carols here. There's a lot of traditions that we're over in the
you're
States or
forgetting
wherever.
about Christmas on the Domain. And Candles by Carol.
Nothing.
Carols by Candlelight.
Like, Carols by Candlelight is one of those things that's very Australian, but I'm saying in the sense of, like, people coming to your house and singing carols in the cold, in the snow.
Yeah, there ain't no snow.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you think that if Australia snowed at Christmas time and it was cold, do you think we would embrace those types of traditions?
No.
I think it would be a bit more palatable to Australians, but I still believe that we are also partly, like, from a British background, being a part of the Commonwealth. So, and in Britain, I don't think their
it's pretty similar,
are
though.
a bit less.
It's pretty similar,
They're similar, but they're not like. Maybe I'm just looking at this from more of an American point of view because they're so.
Well, America's a very
pro-Christmas,
consumeristic kind of Christmas, right? So it's about having the biggest and the best and all the lights, all the presents, all the turkey, all the trees, all the glitz and the glamour.
That's why Christmas with the Kranks is so good, because it's not about that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Maddie, I'm gonna throw a question to you. Jamie Lee Curtis as a co-lead in this movie. I say co-lead, I guess, because it's arguable that she is probably on par with Tim Allen as the leads of this movie. I wouldn't say one is more of a lead than the other.
I would agree with that.
What do you think of her role in this movie? So Tim Allen obviously has a bit of focus about being kind of the Grinch per se around Christmas and being dedicated to the cause when it comes to the holiday. How dedicated to the cause do you think Jamie Lee Curtis's character is?
I just want to start off by saying that she's a comedic genius. I think she's a wonderful actress and a wonderful human being. She says a line in the movie where she's like, "You don't understand. It's us women who have to deal with Christmas," and it's very true. I just think of my mum and when she would sit there on Christmas morning and go like, "Oh yes, this is from me and your dad," and my dad would go, "I don't know what it is." So it's always, I feel like it's always the mum who is. I mean, this is very stereotypical and very gender generalized, but I think a lot of the time it's the women who do the shopping and the cooking and the cleaning and the organising and the stuff, and then the men turn up and be like, yes, I also helped.
But I think also with her, because this is something they do every year, and she is like pretty happy about doing Christmas. Like, it's not something that she wants to give up. Like, Tim Allen has to convince her to give up the idea of Christmas.
Yeah.
So for her, and that's where it's kind of interesting, where Tim Allen doesn't want to do it because he doesn't like it really, and wants to do something selfish. But then she's going along because she's been convinced into doing this, even though she really loves Christmas. Like, once she finds out they're doing Christmas, vest is straight on, going in, we're getting this, we're getting that, you need to go and do this, you need to go and do that. So it's, and she loves her daughter, and that's one of the reasons why, Christmas is so good for them initially, because, their daughter isn't there for the first time. And it's kind of a movie of, if your parents and you got no kid and they've left, what do you do?
Yeah, look, exactly. I wanted to talk a bit about... so one thing I want to touch on very briefly, there is singing in this movie. So once again, tick, there is caroling multiple times.
Oh, that was my favourite scene, where they're inside the house and the carolers are just singing and singing. It was good. I liked it.
It was fantastic. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, the other time that they're singing is right at the end of the movie, I guess when the heart of the movie comes in. We've talked a lot on this podcast, and it seems to be a recurring trend that we kind of discuss how meaningful the movies become. Like, does it have heart? Does it follow those Christmas trends? What's the message? Luke, I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to throw to Maddie, because I feel like Maddie's going to have a bit to say on this. Luke, what do you think the message of this movie is?
Oh, don't ask me for the message. You go, Luke. What's the message?
I think it's kind of hard, because I think there's two conflicting messages, where one of them is about, I think, more about what do you do when your kid or your children have left? Do you keep the traditions that you've got, or in hope that, everything will feel the same? Or do you do something different to make yourselves happy? That's one. I don't know if that's not primarily, prominent, but it is there, and it's the catalyst for the movie to be the way that it is.
Definitely a question the movie brings up. I wouldn't say it's a message, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, I'm probably not explaining it very well.
No, you're
fine.
But
it's, I think the major message is, no matter what, even if you're not going to do traditions are traditions because they give you joy and they give you happiness, and I don't know. It's
a hard
one,
right?
More about I think it's more about the tradition aspect of the movie rather than it being, because really thinking about it, looking back on the movie, the street was very you better do this or we will harass you sort of people, which I found kind of weird. But then also I can understand that they all came to them in a time of need because they really do care for their neighbors. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of... I think there's a couple of things, but there's no distinct one.
Okay. Maddie, what do you think?
I would say the overall message is definitely that Christmas is about giving. Like, yes, people want to be selfish at Christmas and that can be okay, but it's more about giving to those in need and to those who need help the most, I guess. I guess that's what I take out of it.
Yeah.
What was your other question, Josh?
No, that was pretty much it. I just kind of wanted to explore what the ending of the movie meant and if it had that kind of heartfelt Christmassy moment.
It has a good contrast to Jingle All the Way, which you guys were talking about last night, because that movie didn't really have that. I would have thought that it would have that sort of thing where it's like, no, the idea of, to make everybody happy is to give rather than to just get out of a situation. So it's a good kind of like what the movie last night should have been.
Yes,
where
I
it's
agree.
like at the end he realizes, it's not about the toy, it's about loving his son and loving his wife. And this movie has that moment at the end where, Tim Allen goes across the street and gives the older couple like the tickets, which I honestly, when I saw it, I'm like, that's just really nice of him to do that, because it's something that he's spent the whole movie trying to do, and a while too. Like they were doing it at least for about.
It's a good
a couple of
transformation
weeks.
as way as transformations go over Christmas, I think. Like he's so stubborn the whole movie, he's going on that trip, and then he's like, no, this has to be given away.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I think that my understanding of this movie when it comes to a message is that everything up to that one moment is a catalyst for him to show growth. So it's kind of the reverse. So sometimes we just want to be selfish, and that's totally fine. But that kind of having that moment of realization and kind of getting rid of that, I think is what Christmas is all about. It's not so much about you; it's about others.
And when he said he'd take the cat, even though he hates the cat, oh my heart! I got all teary.
Let's talk about Enrique for a moment.
Enrique.
Who was Enrique again?
The boyfriend.
The boyfriend that they got engaged to. Blair's boyfriend.
Oh yeah, the doctor or whatever it is.
Well, that's
Was he a doctor? Or,
they met in the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
It was. I thought that was an interesting plot point to include in the movie. Where was he from? Peru.
Something like that.
Peru, because they were singing in
Find out.
Espanol at the end.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The main reason I'm bringing him up, I mean, given the fact that he's Peruvian doctor and they've come from like the Peace Corps and stuff, and they've flown all the way back home. They've rushed all the way home to this massive house filled with so many people. Do you feel like all those people were really happy to see Blair?
Yeah, definitely.
Also, do you think they were all really susceptible to COVID?
That's what you were missing. I would have been very upset if you missed that. I was like, there is a golden opportunity there, and you would have missed it.
That was the bit.
Thank you very much.
Unintentionally, audience.
We're moving on.
I'm going to analyse this.
Okay, go for it.
No, I think the inclusion of Enrique is it's quite sudden, but I think it's another plot point to show that it's all about community and coming together. Like even though you're
For sure.
from miles away, I've got my microphone upside down. Sorry. Even if you're from miles away, like you're still part of the family.
We've also talked a little bit on this podcast, and this will be my last question before we get into the hat. We've talked a bit on this podcast about kind of American movies versus British movies. When we're looking at this as an American movie, I actually didn't think it felt overly American in the sense that like Jingle All the Way or Deck the Halls did. Though they're similar styles of movie, I felt like this one sat differently, and that was quite odd for an American movie to do that. It felt kind of closer to a British movie than an American movie did.
It felt like what Elf was, because Elf had the same type of feel, and
Correct.
Home Alone had a very similar feel. And because this was also written by Christopher Columbus, who did Home Alone, it would make sense that he would have very similar writing styles, because I think for Home Alone he also wrote that.
Yeah, he did.
But for this movie in particular, I think because they take out the Americanness of it, and it's more about the holiday rush, especially at the end where it's the final day, very similar to Jingle All the Way, where it's that rush to get everything. It's a very universal thing. Like me and my dad were talking about, admittedly we were talking about Jingle All the Way today, and one of the things he brought up is the idea that everyone has been in that position where they've missed one thing for Christmas, they go run to the shops right at the end, and they go to try and get the last ham or the last,
Never say
being prepared
hickory
for
honey ham again.
Like that sort of thing is very universal, and I think this movie plus Elf and a couple of the other films have been very universal in the way that they're thinking more about the an overall audience rather than an American audience to sell the jokes to.
For sure. What do you think, Matty? I think that's a very good point. But yeah, I'd be interested, as this is your favourite movie, I'd be really interested to think if you also felt the same way, or whether that's something you've thought about before. Like
it wasn't really something I'd thought about before, actually. I know, I think Luke makes a good point. But I think because they don't participate in a lot of like Christmas traditions, it's not overly Americanized, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And they focus more on things like lights and having like the
Frosty. Obviously, like, Frosty's an American sort of tradition.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's still like it's still more about the community than it is about anything else. Like the water, when he puts the water on the walkway and all that sort of stuff. That's admittedly that is more of an like a Northern Hemisphere thing, but anyone has that problem if you're in the ice or wherever from any country, and we've had that before when we have snow. So it's I don't know. It feels a lot more universal because I don't think they focus more on the American aspect of it. They focus on the Christmas aspect.
Yeah. All right, Maddie. I'm going to throw to you.
Okay, I'm going to start with Luke tonight. How many Christmas hats would you give this movie out of 10, Luke?
I'm going to give it 7 out of 10.
Nice.
I honestly did think I was going to give it lower when I was about to watch the movie, because as Amy said last night, I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of American comedies. Just in general, it's not the type of humor that I'm into, and a lot of it is more slapstick, which, you know, some of it's good, some of it's bad, but I won't go into that. I thought this movie had a really good message. I like the story being a bit different to other Christmas stories that we've had before. It's weird seeing Tim Allen when he's not Santa Claus, so that was kind of a refreshing thing.
The Christmas King?
Spike Pardon?
The Christmas King, I said.
Yeah, 4 Christmas movies.
Yeah. Spike the Kid, I've seen him somewhere.
Malcolm
He's
in the
Dewey
Middle.
from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah,
Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle. I thought so, and I was like, I'm not going to say anything because I might be wrong. But yeah, I saw him, and like, yeah, I think it's just a very communal movie, and that was one of the things I got away from it, was the idea of the communal aspect of Christmas, which I think is really, really important because, you know, everyone should have someone or be with somebody during Christmas.
Yeah.
That's very nice and heartfelt. Luke?
Thank you.
Josh, I'm going to pass it to you to ruin. How many Christmas hats out of 10?
I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Wow.
Nice.
I think that when I'm looking at that kind of American comedy Christmas movie, I don't think any movie that we've watched so far does it better than this one, in my opinion. I think that this one hits all the right notes. It has equal parts heart-warming kind of moments, and also really clever comedy. A lot of references to the actors themselves, like the scene where the scene with the carolers, for example, Jamie Lee Curtis is rolling up the wool, and of course she's known for her role in Halloween. So the camera pans down, the camera pans up, and then all of a sudden the carolers in the window. They play on the actors having fun themselves, and I think that comes through in the plot and the storyline. So I'm going to give it an 8.5. It's a whole bunch of fun to watch, and it's definitely a movie I would have no issues watching again.
Would you have an issue watching it if I watched it in March?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You shouldn't watch a Christmas movie when it's not in December.
Unless it's Christmas Kranks. Boys, this is going to crack the top 10. For me, it's a 10 out of 10.
Good work.
I'm very biased, though.
No, that's all right. We've all done at least close to 10 or not.
I feel like we're all very biased towards the movies we've picked individually, so...
Oh, no, of course.
This is purely nostalgia-based for me. I love this movie. I love everything about it. 10 out of 10.
Great work. Nice.
Look, do you have a question for us today? I'm sorry that I stole your one last night.
No,
I'm
that's
a
all
segment
right.
stealer. I plan on telling you a fun fact. Suck that, Amy.
Ooh.
Cop that indeed.
Well, if Amy has a section, maybe we'll put it right here.
Yes, we will.
Nah. no, of course. All right.
Suck it, Amy.
Hi, this is Amy, the listener's favourite. I'm sorry I can't be on the podcast tonight. I have work. Sad times. I thought this Christmas movie was really good. I enjoyed the Christmassiness, how funny it was, and also the overall message. One thing that surprised me actually, considering I'm a Christmas fanatic, is the fact it did kind of annoy me that the neighbourhood were pestering them about doing Christmas. If they don't want to do Christmas, then they don't have to. It's their choice. I would rate this movie 8.5 Christmas hats out of 10 because of what I said above. Also, my fun fact of the day is for our discussion yesterday about whether Jingle All the Way was linked to a toy at the time of the release of the movie. Well, I found this. The story from Jingle All the Way was based on a shopping craze for the Cabbage Patch dolls in the 80s. I'm going to go now. Bye!
Wow, Amy, thank you for your very wise words. No one does it like you. We miss you a lot on this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all right.
Luke, take it away with your question.
Okay, so we were talking about Christmas traditions, and one thing that I was thinking about when I wrote this was, what Aussie tradition should be what Aussie Christmas tradition should be used around the world? What tradition we have at home that's very unique to us should they have in the Christmas canon?
Easy. Backyard cricket.
I knew you were going to say that.
100%. Easy. Best part about Christmas.
It's true. He plays it every year.
You can't
That makes sense.
Can't not. It's perfect.
I'm going to say Goon of Fortune. This is where you
I'm
grab...
sorry. Are you implying that Goon of Fortune has previously been a part of your Christmas?
No, not my Christmas. I just think it should be a part of Christmas. Mate, my Christmas is getting fucked off White Russians. I think we should bring Goon of Fortune into the mix. Now, for our international viewers, this is where you grab a goon bag, which is also a wine
A bag
casket.
of wine.
Sack, yes, that you find in the boxes. Pull it out, peg it on the clothesline, a Hills hoist preferably, which are very Australian. But if you have one, that's great. You spin it around a couple of times and then you bloody drink out of it. Good times.
Don't have to buy vowels or anything.
No.
It's very similar to... It's basically alcoholic Russian roulette.
Yeah, we love
That's
that.
pretty much the way it is.
I think we should incorporate that into our Australian Christmases.
I like it. What about you, Luke? What would you incorporate? Incorporate?
Incorporate. Well, I think... I don't know. It's... A lot of my traditions, because it is... My mum's Canadian, it's sort of taken over from Canada, so it's very similar. I think one tradition we should have, you should go and see another family or relatives or whatever when you go to Christmas. Because from what I understand, usually it's the whole family goes to one place.
Yeah.
And they do Christmas like all together. For like my family, we will do it here, and then when we were younger, we used to go to our aunties who are hosting Christmas. So you go jumping around to different
Always,
places.
yeah.
Yeah, that's such an Australian thing, isn't it? Yeah,
It
we
is.
used to
We always travel.
We do breakfast and then we go to lunch and then someone will come over for dinner.
Yeah, like you usually go to you start with your own Christmas at home, and then for lunch you go to your family or wherever, and then by the end of the night you might be at your boyfriend or girlfriend's. It's, and also bonbons, the Christmas crackers we've talked about previously on the podcast should be widely
I
accepted
agree.
around the world.
Everyone
Very
needs
true.
to experience a paper hat.
Very true.
All right, Josh, you've been working very hard on this Christmas joke. I've turned down a couple. Luke, I've saved you from quite a few terrible ones.
Some of them have been pretty good. Last night's one.
This one was rubbish, so I hope you recovered. Or are you just going to say the shit one, Josh?
No, I'm not saying that. I just Googled one.
Okay. You've given up completely. Good to know.
No, I wrote one, and Nanny was probably right. It probably wasn't appropriate for the podcast. So I'm going to go with a last-minute Google effort because definitely what I had done probably isn't the right forum right here. So Why is the alphabet in the North Pole different than the normal alphabet?
Why is that?
The North Pole's alphabet has no L.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you so much for listening.
All right,
Really appreciate
I'm
it.
stealing Amy's segment with a fun
Go
fact.
for it.
Because that was horrifying. This is also horrifying. I've just found this, and it's a bit outdated, but it's still fucked. According to a survey conducted in 2016, 57% of adults in the UK would gladly sacrifice seeing relatives on Christmas Day if it meant they could spend more time on Facebook.
Oh, really?
That's
Fuck
cool.
those people. That's...
I mean, we're watching a movie about skipping Christmas, but not for Facebook. That was for a cruise, at least.
Mark Zuckerberg, you need to get on this. What
Can anyone
are you
from
doing?
the UK confirm that this is a real statistic? And
Yeah, if
would
you are-
you
Jesus Christ.
sacrifice seeing people on Christmas Day just to be on Facebook, or better yet, just to listen to this podcast in its entirety?
And if you are from the UK, you should jump on Facebook and let us know at Facebook at Christmas and Chill. Also, Instagram
That's what I was trying
at
to
Christmas
tell
and
them.
Chill podcast as well. It's a really, really bad stat. So please jump on social media to let us know why you would prefer to be on social media than spend time with your family. I thought you can also send us some emails. Drop us a line at our mailbag. That's mailbag.christmasandchill@gmail.com. We are almost on the home stretch, people. We are less than 10 days out.
9 days to Christmas, everyone.
9 days till Christmas. So we are definitely on the home stretch now before the big baby Jesus' birthday.
The big kahuna.
His
the
birthday
chief.
isn't in December. We established this. He's a Gemini.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Can
well,
we get
Christmas
someone
Day.
to count how many times Josh says in an episode? Because it's
No,
quite
don't
a
do
few.
that.
You could just cut them out. It's just as easy, but
Don't
that-
give him
that's too
ideas.
hard. No, that's too much effort.
That's too much effort for a daily podcast. That's
That is very true. That's very
We just
true.
cut
Ain't
your
happening.
shit out, Luke.
Oh,
You
More
thought
like
you
it,
were
I
gonna
just get ignored.
roasted, stooge.
But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening this evening. We've really enjoyed you taking this time with us this evening and hanging out with us.
This is Christmas
like
and
we-
Chill ASMR.
Like we always say on this podcast, stay groovy, stay cool, and have a lot of shagadelic times. We will catch you cool cats and kittens on the flip side of Reno.
also, for the audio listeners, we are watching A Charlie Brown Christmas tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I should probably tell you that.
Luke's pick.
Yeah.
Luke's pick.
I've saved it, don't worry.
Nice. And on that note, we will catch you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
See you later.